Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it again with another video from the Nigerian perspective, but perhaps most importantly, another video regarding the candy bug situation, because there's been a lot of back and forth. There's been a lot of talks. I actually still have a video that I need to release, kind of putting a hole in the brand online, like just ending that issue. But we've already gotten a full sort of like wraparound of the situation. And that's going to be from the Nigerian perspective right here. And even though I already have 2 videos covering this topic, I haven't really gotten one that takes a look at the entire community as a whole. We've been more so focusing on Brand Online's impact in ruining Candy Bug's career. Now we gotta see who else is involved and who else deserves some harsh criticism for their actions.
For the past couple of days, the Genshin community has been up in arms. There's been arguments after arguments, conversation after conversation about practically every single aspect of Genshin Impact. The characters, the narratives, the cultural representation, the clothing, you name it, people have been arguing about it. And the catalyst for all of this was one YouTube video. A video titled, "Was Genshin Always This Weird and Bad?" And
bro, this video is making people crash out. Bro, people are sending death threats. People are trying to dox her. People are going ahead and doing illegal things with her art. Bro, and it's all because she said, I don't like certain things in Genshin Impact. Why is this the only community where this happens? And you've got to wonder, when this is how the community always reacts to criticism, is it the fault of the leaders in the community who direct others to go attack people like this?
even though it was made by a relatively new creator by the name of Candy Bug, it has already amassed almost 400,000 views by the time I'm making this video.
Yep.
That is how highly controversial this video has been. Now,
and 18k likes, that's the main thing. A lot of people will just hand wave everything in that video as Genshin hate, Genshin bullshit. It's just fake Genshin critique that isn't real, even though it has 18k plus likes. And clearly, a lot of actual people in the community like the video. But that's obviously gonna have some issues. There are gonna be some problems with that take when you have creators like Brand Online, 400k subscribers, by the way, saying shit like this about her video.
And that was not good. It's just Genshin haters now. But at the same time, their audience is just Genshin haters now.
If you like that video, if you think that video is good content, you're just a Genshin hater. Who cares if you thought there were valid points in it? You're just a Genshin hater. Have you ever seen somebody just hand wave an entire group of people, all the arguments, and just boil it all down to Genshin hate so you can get mobbed on? Because how do you think the community is going to react to one of the biggest CCs describing her at channel as just Genshin hate, and then listen to this?
That's it. So this person is either going to become a Genshin grifter.
So their audience is filled with Genshin haters, and they're a Genshin grifter. What do you think is going to happen in the broader Genshin community when you're putting labels like that on a person? Do you think it's going to get better? Do you think that they're going to have a fruitful career here, or do you think it's going to get more toxic after you say shit like this to them? You let me know.
here's the thing. The original video is 55 minutes long, which means reacting to it in its entirety would take probably 2 to 3 hours. And while that could be entertaining in its own right, that is a little too much. Luckily for us though, she uploaded a follow-up video, an apology video, but more importantly to the context of what we're making. It is a video where she already isolates the points from the original video that sparked the most controversy.
And I've watched the entire video, and she explains her points very well. It's still getting mass downvoted because of Brand Online's community. And this is how I can confidently say that Brand Online's community would brigade another creator. I am just going to say that with full 100% confidence. And the reason why I'm saying that with full 100% confidence is because this is what you will find in the front page of Brand's comment section. Him going ahead and his community calling me a criminal with this nickname over here. Kind of reminds you of Mr. Pokey and Tectone, right? It really does remind you of Mr. Pokey and Tectone, where these Hoyo CCs find it acceptable for other CCs that they're associated with to be called criminals in their comment section because they get to farm up dudes. Zero accountability. And when somebody has this spawning in their comment section, I 100% believe they will brigade other communities. They will call other CCs racist. They will accuse other CCs of crimes. Oh, wait, they already did. And they will try to make other CCs' lives miserable. That is what your community does, Brand. It's a fact because they try to do it right here. Oh, wait, they didn't try. They did do it right here. I'm getting called a criminal right here.
In this video, we're going to examine those specific points, analyze what she actually said in the original video, and ask a very important question. Is she really as bad as the Genshin community is making her out to be?
Nobody can be. Nobody can be as bad as the Genshin Impact community is trying to make out people to be during this time, brother.
Are the things she said really so outrageous, so objectively wrong, that they justify every ounce of criticism or the vitriol that she's receiving right now? Or is there some nuance here? That's
when somebody's getting death threats, getting doxxed, all of that stuff, there's really no justifying it from a fucking gacha game perspective. Like, unless they went ahead, like I think the only true thing that, like, even seems slightly warranted in the level of response is, like, Genizad telling Wuthering Waves players they should go, like, do something in Minecraft. And then if he gets that back in response, whatever, right? He was telling people to go jump off a cliff IRL first, right? If you get that, if you get what you dished back, I get that. Candybug was not dishing out no crazy shit like that in her videos. So a response for the community of this degree, it cannot be warranted.
Before we continue, I think it is important to make one thing very clear. I do not know this creator. I have never spoken to her. This video is simply me involving myself in a discussion that is already happening within the community. So it goes without saying that whatever praise or criticism comes from this video should be directed at me and me alone. So with that being said, if you're into this kind of content,
I bet Brand Online's gonna find a way to watch this and then blame Candybug again. Because that's what Brand Online keeps doing. He has problems with me, but makes videos on Candybug instead to try to, like, let out his frustrations. That was literally what Brand did. He had problems with me, was DMing me, and then dropped a video on Candybug instead. Like, bro.
make sure to like the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What side of the discussion do you lean towards? Do you agree more with the points made by the creator? Do you think there is nuance that people are overlooking? Or do you side with the community's rebuttals? Do you think the level of anger we're seeing right now is justified? Let me know in the comments below, and of course don't forget to subscribe.
Alright, since the topic is a little bit more serious, we're only going to give it one listen, but he's still doing it on purpose.
Do you think the level of anger we're seeing right now is justified? Let me know in the comments below, and of course don't forget to subscribe on any of my future videos. Alright.
Bro, I'm pretty sure he, like, rolled his tongue in there, too.
Alright, let's get into it.
One more listen.
Right now is justified. Let me know in the comments below, and of course don't forget to subscribe on any of my future videos. Alright, let's get into it. Now,
that's good, though. I like that. That's funny.
The first
that's a good meme to have in all of your vids. That's actually a genius one.
Points Candybug said garnered the most backlash revolved around,
because everyone tunes out during that point, and now people are purposefully paying attention just to see how he fucks it up this time.
Around Lana. And here's what she had to say.
It's a very smart move as a CC. Very smart move. You bring attention to some of the most under-listened parts of a vid.
In the original video.
Over it. Editing Aurelia here. In the process of making this video, Lana has been released, and I just have to interject to say, what the fuck were they thinking with this character? I feel like a crazy person because I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't think she's adorable and in fact recognizes her for the creepy freak that she is. Agreed.
Yeah, no, this character's fucking weird, bro. Hey, I've already addressed this. I think this character's weird, and she seems like a character in like an erotic, like, Japanese game or some art. You know the terms. I don't want to say that shit on YouTube, though. Like, she looks like she's from, like, an erotic game. With the emotions that she has on her face, the mouth, the facial expressions, the drooling and all of that. Looks like somebody's fetish put into the game.
First of all, she clearly has absolutely no respect for living things that are not traditionally human. She keeps...
I love how Kirara is clearly seen running away. And then Paimon is seen trying to run away from her. So every character that meets this character is then trying to run away from her.
Asking to touch and pet the Melusines as if they are not whole people. It's especially creepy because the Melusines are made to look like children. Having an adult character who is high-key obsessed with them and can't treat them as the people they are was a fucked up move on Hoyo's part. Her trailer is sickening for the same reason. She fantasizes about being rubbed up on by Siegeween, who, again, looks like a child, and Kirara, along with other Melusines and Nekomata.
Wait, so what's the issue with her points?
reads as extremely fetishistic to me, which is a problem when the people that she's fantasizing about
What's wrong with her points?
look like...
Now, this is a very interesting take on Linnea as a character. And if we indeed looked at the Genshin community side of the...
It's just true, isn't it? This bitch is weird as hell. But don't worry, guys. We had Brown Online go in and start clutching his pearls, saying the wildest shit ever during his react so that she could get some more flack for this one.
discussion. You will quickly realize that this is where a huge portion of the backlash really comes from. And one of the biggest rebuttals people made was that Linnea is autism coded. Now, personally, I don't think whether a character is autism coded or not has much bearing on an argument like this. However,
Hey, guys. Let's just say she is autistic. Does that mean she gets to sexually harass every character in the game? I'm just wondering. So, is being autistic an excuse to sexually harass every character in the game? Because what she does would constitute a sexual harassment. If you try doing that to a girl in real life, you're going to jail. If you try to do anything this bitch does to another person, you're going to jail. That should explain enough to you. If you try to do what Linnea does in-game, you're going to jail.
I can still understand why so many...
Not in the UK. Maybe that's why Brand Online has been going so hard on her.
people in the community took issues with what Candy Bug said. But I don't think it is simply because she was wrong. No, rather, I think she approached the character from an incredibly extreme point of view. And even though we could make the arguments that this is just an anime video game, or point out that Linnea isn't a real person with any agency of her own, I think there's a much more compelling reason why people don't interpret Linnea the same way Candy Bug does. And that's is context. The context of the character, the setting she is in, the circumstances surrounding her, the kind of story Genshin is trying to tell, the type of entertainment Genshin Impact is. I mean, I think far too many people underestimate just how important context is when analyzing any character. And to show you what I mean, here's a question. What if we took Linnea exactly as she is, every personality trait, every mannerism, every scene from this trailer, especially this one in particular, and transplanted her into the anime Made in Abyss? An anime whose entire identity revolves around the suffering and abuse of children. What emotion do you think that would evoke within you? Because for me, regardless of how innocent...
Isn't this like the most fucked up show like ever?
So harmless...
Yeah, I never watched this shit because everyone said this shit was fucking weird. Hey, that shit looked weird to me.
Linnea may appear, regardless of whether she's autism coded or not. My first reaction wouldn't...
Yeah, if Linnea was in Made in Abyss, she would be a villain, wouldn't she?
Be that she is cute, it would be fear, it would be disgust. And that is exactly expected, more so because the context surrounding that character has fundamentally changed. And if you've watched Made in Abyss, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But in Genshin Impact, it is completely different. People don't look at Linnea or any character in Genshin Impact and immediately think fetishistic or abusive, because that is simply not what Genshin has ever presented itself as. That's...
Well, have you seen a Scoffier? I'm gonna be honest. This is where I'm gonna have some pushback, brother. This is somebody that wanted to like fuck a gender bent Gordon Ramsay. Like that is probably like the best definition. Like that's what Escoffier is. Like somebody at Hoyo wanted to gender bend Gordon Ramsay and fuck him. She doesn't even look like she's wearing clothes. Like it doesn't look like she's wearing a shirt. It doesn't look like she's wearing, like, pants or anything. It literally looks like she's wearing nothing. And this is what I meant by, this is somebody's fetish. If your girlfriend was doing, like, a naked apron thing, she'd wear more clothes than this. That's the crazy fucking part. Doing this IRL as a thing, you'd wear more clothes than this character actually is wearing. And that's how I know her arguments actually do have a fair amount of weight, because the devs have been caught putting their fetish shit in the game. And so for her to call out the devs putting in more fetish shit into the game, knowing that this is the same company that's putting out ZZZ and Lucy's summer skins, yes, we're allowed to talk about how uncomfortable it can be for like this attraction towards children to be highlighted so much in their character designs. Because they've already put their fetishes in the game. We already know there's some weirdos working on other Hoyo games, and now you're making one of the characters in Genshin a fucking weirdo. And when it's a relatively new occurrence that's happening, I think it's very fair to call out. So that's going to be my pushback here, at least on this point. But then again, Nigerian hasn't finished his.
That's not the tone of the game. That's not the narrative being told. Neither the world around Linnea or the situation she's placed in are designed to make the audience feel disgust or anything like that. They're rather designed to come across as wholesome, cute, endearing. And really, this isn't unique to Genshin Impact. I mean, that would be like saying that Methodi from Frieren is fetish.
Guys, this is like us calling out Zenless Zone Zero, putting out those fucking Angels of Delusion characters and skins, bro. It's a little weird.
Machistic and creepy because she likes giving head pats to smaller girls. Or saying Nami from One Piece is abusive because she beats Luffy black and blue whenever he says something incredibly stupid. I mean, sure, you could make those arguments, but almost no one would take them seriously because everyone understands the intent behind those scenes. They're meant to be cute, they're meant to be funny, and context is what allows the audience to recognize that.
And I get that. Cute, the whatever thing, the goofy vibe of Genshin, I get it. But it's weird when every character wants to run away from her. It's weird when she's the one that wants to like snuggle up and get really physical with everybody, and every unit in the game is seen trying to get away from her.
The next part that garnered a huge amount of attention and criticism was the discussion surrounding Natlan and Sumeru, with Candy Bug specifically saying that she was called racist over some of the things she said about these two regions.
Oh, this one was the biggest part. And Bran keeps saying this. Bran Online keeps crying about how I said he's the reason why she's being called racist. Bran keeps translating that too. Saint's saying I called her racist. No, bitch, you don't understand words. That's the issue. I said you're the reason why she's being called racist. You don't need to call someone racist directly for them to end up being called racist. Imagine if I said this, Bran Online, and this is an example. Bran, I heard you really hate black people. I didn't call you racist, right? But people might pick up on that and then call you racist afterwards. That's just an example of how you can end up being called racist even if someone didn't directly say that you're racist. It's truly that simple, and he could not understand that. He could not understand that. He's like, Saint keeps saying I called her racist. He's spreading misinfo. I didn't do that. I don't lie about these things. Don't fold to Saint that said you called that CC racist. So Brad just believes retarded, out of context, literally made up comments from his chatters. Takes it as a fact. Brad will just trust random chatters who lie. I didn't even call her racist. I literally said she was talking about Hoyo being racist. I'm pretty sure. I never once said the CC was racist. That's what people see when out of context clips are taken at face value. This just shows how little Brad is able to understand any of the reasons for why he's getting shit. He still keeps sticking to his guns. He keeps spamming. I didn't directly call her racist, guys. I didn't. I said you're the reason she's being called racist. But you still keep strawmanning it by saying, I didn't even call her racist. And you can't fucking stop at this point, bro.
Now, before we even get into what she actually said, I think there's something much more frustrating that needs to be addressed. The idea that giving criticism towards certain elements within Natlan or Sumeru somehow gets someone labeled with all these terms, but not the game itself. There's a reason that whenever I've talked about cultural representation in Genshin Impact, I've deliberately narrowed the conversation down to accents. The absolute bare minimum, the least these...
Yeah, I love how she's the one getting called racist when Mabuika's white.
Games can give to bring out some semblance of culture into these regions. Because the moment you spend any real
Guys, Mabuika's white, but let's call the CC racist.
Time in these regions, or do even a little bit of research into the cultures they're inspired by, you'll quickly realize that there are plenty of legitimate criticisms to be made about how they're depicted. I mean, have you ever wondered why Natlan and Sumeru are the only regions in Genshin Impact that mash together so many completely different cultures and traditions into one single nation?
Because Hoyo's trying not to offend everybody at once. And the more you mishmash together, the less something is, so the less people you can offend.
Something you don't see in literally any other region. I mean, Mondstadt is primarily German inspired, Lear is Chinese, Inazuma is Japanese, Fontaine is French, Shineznaya is Russian. But when we get into Sumeru and Natlan, the regions inspired by cultures outside Europe and East Asia.
Bro, like Natlan is like India, Aztecs, the fucking Mexico indigenous people, like fucking Hawaii, as well as like the Pacific Islands in New Zealand. Like, bro, it's like basically every fucking island in the world. Sure, right? Let's add booty shorts and motorcycles. And let's make the Archon of all these islands a BDSM latex gimp suit motorcycle rider.
The approach suddenly changes. I mean, Sumeru alone pulls inspiration from India, Egypt, Persia, Mesopotamia, Iraq, the Middle East, North America.
Sumeru takes from North America? I'm not gonna lie, putting North America and Iran next to each other is kind of crazy.
All within a single nation. And then Natlan brings together inspiration from Mesoamerica, South America, West Africa, East Africa, Oceania, and Polynesia. Again, all within one single nation. And I have to ask the obvious question, why? Why is it that these are the only regions where so many distinct cultures are compressed into one nation?
Where so many distinct cultures are pressed into one nation, I'm gonna be honest. I think it's because these are some of the most easy. I feel like the topics are a little bit more sensitive. That's why. You'll notice that the only places that have their own regions are considered like, you can't be racist towards, like you're not, like you can't be racist to white or Asian people. That's, let's just be real in 2026. If a white or Asian person complains about someone being racist to them, nobody gives a fuck. Because they're like, oh, they automatically assume white and Asian people have, like, better lives because they're white or Asian. Let's not mince words. That's how it is. Asians are basically, like, white people in terms of, like, the whole, like, you know, status and stuff like that. And so clearly you can see the nations that are considered, like, not offendable. You can't be racist to white or Asian people. Those are the ones that get turned into whole fleshed out things in this game. Can't be racist to Germans, so that's why we made Mondstadt. Can't be racist to French people, so that's why we made Fontaine. Can't be racist to Russians, so that's why we made Cesnaya. Right? Can't be racist to China, that's why we made Liwei. Can't be racist to Japan, that's why we made Inazuma. Does that make more sense? The countries that, like, cannot be offended as much because you, like, can't really be racist to them are the ones that end up getting made into their own regions. And I simply view this from the perspective of, that's how you have the least controversy surrounding your game. Is that fair? Is that like a logical approach that pretty much just, like, makes sense? Because, like, bro, let's be real here. If you're going to make a region surrounding the Middle East, people are going to be asking where are all the explosions and stuff, and that's probably not a topic that you want to get into in your game. Right?
Even more so, why is it that despite drawing inspiration from regions whose population are overwhelmingly...
I'm just being real with you. I'm just being real with you, bro. It's like someone, where's the child hunger? You get what I mean? Like, you don't want that.
Darker skinned. The overwhelming majority of playbook characters are still fair skinned. I mean, saying the quiet part out loud, every single one of us understand the...
Where are the cartels? You know what I mean? It's like how somebody could say, where's the Yakuza in Inazuma? And it's like, well, Raiden Shogun kind of is the Yakuza. So it's like, wait, oh, right.
Realities of the gacha markets. Most of us don't go into these games expecting perfect cultural representation, especially in Genshin Impact. I mean, I certainly don't. And if you do, well, it is a matter of time before you learn. Now, bringing it back to the Candy Box video, I genuinely find it jarring that someone could be labeled racist for pointing out something that is, at the very least in this instance, objectively observable. Here's what she had to say, not even about Natlan, but rather it's Archon, Mavrika.
Let's listen to this.
Now think about Mawika in the same way, with regards to her divine ideal, which is war. How does she represent war? Well, she's fighting a war against the Abyss, like everybody else in Tibet.
Now, let me show you how she embodies war. Yeah, because she's winning the war.
Yeah, maybe they have it worse than other nations, but still, what happens when the war ends? Which it does at the end of the Archon quest. It's not like Mawika is some battle-crazed maniac. At most, she's just kind of thoughtless and reckless in her actions. Do you see how war doesn't really work as a divine ideal, and least of all with Mawika as its representative? Also, it's a nation of war made up of 6 different factions, and yet there's absolutely no conflict between them.
This is more of a critical piece of Natlan being just the worst region ever made in any game ever. Like truly, I think even today, Genshin players will tell you Natlan was bad.
It really just doesn't make any sense. This is why I personally always thought it would be cool if the Pyro Archon was a villain to her people. Maybe she makes them fight each other.
They already did that. It's called Inazuma. And like, there's a lot to be said that they made Inazuma a dictatorship, especially considering the history of Japan. Like, that's how, like, now that I think about it, yeah, no, the Japanese could have really gotten offended from Inazuma. They kind of, like, instituted a totalitarian government that, like, is kind of like, oh, that doesn't seem, like, good in history, right? But you can't be racist to Asian people. So it's okay. If you put in stuff that could be culturally insensitive as long as it's a white or Asian country. Do you get it? So in a lot of ways, it could have been them playing Natlan really safe because they were scared of people getting offended. Oh my god, you're making the tribals fight each other. That's so insensitive. Think about that. You're making the tribal people who bang sticks against rocks fight each other like cavemen. Oh my god, Hoy. Do you see what I mean?
Gladiator style for her own entertainment. And then maybe we would have a better rebellion storyline than
Not a good look, right?
Inazuma with an Archon.
I think the outrage surrounding Mavrika, at least
That's the viewpoint that I would have had. She's spitting, but I don't think Hoyo could have done it because then Hoyo would have been called out for racism. It's like a catch-22. They're racist for not doing these things, but if they did them, people would 100% call them racist. Like, the optics of a bunch of, like, the white Pyro Archon is like a villain that's, like, making these tribalist people, like, fight against each other in arenas. Like, that would be bad, bro. Like, this white Archon is making all the darker-skinned people fight in arenas against each other for her own entertainment. That's bad, bro. You can't do that. That's not good.
with respect to this particular point is extremely performative because she is not wrong. I mean, right now, I don't think it is controversial at all.
I don't think she's wrong, but I'm listing the alternative. Like, I guess this all works if Mabuika's not white.
To say that Mavrika is possibly the most boring Archon in Genshin Impact.
Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, my storyline would work as long as Mabuika's not white. But the second she turns white, it gets weird.
And the reason for this all comes down to one thing that most of us already understand about her. She is too perfect. I mean, she's righteous enough to completely despise war, despite literally being the god of war. She is farsighted enough to make a plan 500 years in advance. And
she's a Mary Sue that nobody gives a fuck about. That's why she's one of the most boring, uninspired characters ever, like, made, and that's why she's one of the, like, probably the least popular Archon.
Somehow have it play out almost exactly as intended, with little to no course correction along the way. She's an exceptional leader. She learns incredibly quickly. She adapts to every situation. She always seems to be the smartest person in the room, and rarely feels like she's genuinely out of her depth. And I think what is most disappointing about Mavrika is that I genuinely don't believe this was the character the game originally intended to build. In fact, there's a single line from another Archon that to me perfectly captures what Mavrika was supposed to be.
The Pyro Archon is a wayward, warmongering wretch, and the Geo Archon is a brutish, blundering buffoon. How do I know? Because this is written in the epic poems of days gone by.
A wayward, warmongering wretch. Now, that is an interesting way to describe an Archon. And ironically,
it would have been fun because, like, bro, the Saritsa just looks like she's gonna be your girlfriend. Sorry, I don't know what it is, but the Saritsa just looks like she's gonna be your girlfriend again, just like all the other characters, bro.
I think that is exactly the kind of characterization that would have made both Mavrika and Natlan make far more sense. I mean, imagine an impulsive, brash, almost unnerving Archon who genuinely loves battle. An Archon who actually embodies the ideal she represents, war. I mean, everyone.
It was so easy to, like, actually make, like, a fun, like, bro, like, they could have just put in Camellia. You could have just ported over Camellia, and that would have been kind of crazy, right? You make a Camellia-type character in Genshin and make her the Archon of War, that'd be kind of fucking nuts. It was just that easy.
The Archon is allowed to meaningfully express the ideals they stand for. So why is the god of war the one who seems furthest removed from hers? Going forward, while
or like Lupa, who fucking cares, right? Glory!
I don't think an Archon like that would have solved so many issues people had with Natlan as a whole. I mean, this is supposed to be the nation of war. Yes, one tribe is primarily known for surfing, another is known for dancing. And while individuals...
Sorry, how do they dance?
Individually, there is nothing wrong with these ideas. When you step back and look at the nation as a whole, it just doesn't fit the identity that Genshin itself spent years building up. There's a disconnect between what Natlan
Stop. I'm just trying to get some exercise. How would you just get right the fuck off my back, bro?
was sold towards us and what it ultimately became. And I think the major reason for that is Mariga. And the exact same thing can be said for the points made about Sumeru, specifically the Nefer story. Now, before anyone pretends to misunderstand what is being said here, let us use a little common sense. No one is saying that fair-skinned people can't experience racism.
Guys, let me give you a good analogy. An Asian man walks into Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, right next to the Facebook headquarters, and says that he got called racist things. I would not believe him, because Palo Alto, that area, is filled with just Asian people, Asian and Indian people. There is no way you're experiencing racism over there as an Asian person. In a similar vein, I wouldn't really expect this unit to experience racism. Because that's just the thing, right? Hoyo decided to make all these nations only the white or Asian nations because they don't really experience the racism, right? It truly, you're allowed to be edgy with them and nobody cares. But then they try to design this character as being discriminated against because she's not dark. It's a slightly unbelievable storyline because when have you heard of somebody being called too light, IRL? If it's unbelievable in real life, yes, it's somewhat unbelievable in the game, because it's like, why would somebody be criticized for being too light if it's never been done in Genshin before? And this is the first time it's ever being done, and you haven't even laid down the lore for it.
Of course they can. But the reality of the world we have always lived in is that racism disproportionately affects people with darker skin.
And then you made Daya dark, and she sucks ass. She's literally the worst character in the game. So, you've already shown in-game with the balancing you do for darker-skinned characters, they suck dick. Like, Sino's bad, Daya's bad, all the dark-skinned characters in this game are bad, and now you're gonna tell me the white person is the one experiencing racism in your game, which you made all the dark-skinned characters bad. That's also what makes it unbelievable, because there's not a single meta-viable dark-skinned character. That's just a fact about the game.
Even more so, Sumeru's
Who's the one with the sword and spear? Fucking Candace, bro. Bro, I've never even seen somebody play this character. Have you ever used this bitch?
desert where Nefer grew up in and the story takes place in is a place that is supposed to represent the setting of darker skinned people. So if Genshin actually wanted to depict that experience in a meaningful way, wouldn't it have been better to reflect that reality? And yes, I can already imagine the counter argument. Well, at least Genshin chose to tell this story in the first place. But
bro, why did he sound like a fucking demon? Bro, why did he sound like a Balrog? What the fuck was that? Like, straight up, that voice didn't match what he was trying to do with it. That shit was kind of scary. Yo, you should go voice like a fucking monster in like a children's TV book, bro, or some shit.
My
what the
rebuttal
fuck
is
was
very
that?
simple. Sometimes it is better not to tell a story at all than to tell it poorly. It's better not to tackle a sensitive subject than to handle it in a way that feels sanitized, watered down, completely disconnected from the reality it is trying to portray. And really, this is a criticism I think applies to Genshin more often than it should, whether it is this storyline or what they did with Ian-san, a character they advertised as the face of Natlan nearly 6 years ago, only for her to end up being one of the most irrelevant playable characters in the entire nation. I mean,
yeah, they replaced it with a big old booty, big old bazooka Verisa. And Brand Online, I think, has gone with the take. She was saying Hoyo replaced Yansan with Verisa because Hoyo's racist. Well, all you need to do is kind of look at Hoyo's kit designs to know they're not going to make brown characters strong. And so they put in a Gunnar character instead called Verisa. And so it's like, I guess you could go with, yes, she's calling them racist, or it's like they turned the region into a cash grab with porn star characters. And Verisa also is somebody's fetish, by the way. Like, she's like somebody's eating fetish where they like feed a girl until she's like gigantic. Like she's also a fetish character. Like Verisa is a fetish character. We know that.
what exactly am I supposed to appreciate? Whether we're talking about the nation itself or the characters within it, it is hard not to feel like so much of it was half-assed.
Like Verisa is basically a BBW put into Genshin. But like they chose to make they made her as big as they could. without like getting yelled at by like Dewey or something. Guys, I'm serious. Verisa is like the closest they can get to putting a BBW in Genshin. She literally attacks by slamming on enemies with her weight. Like that is her kit. She uses her body weight to deal damage to people.
Now, moving on to the final point of controversy in Candy Bug's video, and that has to do with the female characters in Genshin Impact, specifically how they're dressed and how they're written.
They've gotten so fetishized lately, it's crazy. I already showed you Escoffier.
And honestly, the community's reaction to this part was probably the most confusing thing I saw throughout this entire discussion. Mostly because this is the conversation the Genshin community itself has been having for a long time. I mean, we saw it all the way back when Lana was introduced, when people argued that the way she was dressed had absolutely nothing to do with her personality or the way she was portrayed, that it was simply
she's a gooner character that they're trying to make money off of by having people pull with their penises.
fan service. Or in a more recent example, we saw that same conversation with Sandrone. I mean, people hated the fact that Polonia was removed and replaced with whatever this is.
I guess people wanted to fuck the robot. I don't know.
And even more so, they hated that her outfit was changed from a more traditional, fully covered design into the classic body-revealing female Genshin outfit.
Well, because if the Genshin players can't get upskirt shots of their characters, why are they even pulling them, right? So it's like, Koyo probably knew, like, bro, we are straight up, like, this is pay to lose.
And if you want an even more recent example, look at the Snezhnaya trailer. I mean, there was an entire discussion across the community about why the female guards had exposed legs, while the male guards were wearing full trousers. Or
got a goon.
Why the Sarita herself was wearing a miniskirt instead of the kind of long regal gown people
got a goon.
expect from the ruler of Snezhnaya. These are not new criticisms. The community has been making these arguments for years, and not just about the characters I've mentioned. So why
Well, we got a goon.
does the criticism suddenly become unacceptable the moment someone outside the community points it out? And
It becomes unacceptable when a creator with 400k subs says that you're just a grifter. Says that your entire video is just Genshin hate, even though it clearly has a bunch of valid points.
when we move beyond the character designs and start talking about how Genshin writes its female characters, I also think there's a lot of truth in what Candy Bug is saying. I mean, take Columbina for example, a character that went from being this mysterious, almost unsettling figure with seemingly limitless potential to, in many ways, feeling like this airhead cutie damsel waiting for the traveler to save her. Or
I think this is the thing. People got uplifted so much by Arlecchino in Fontaine that they thought Hoyoverse actually knew how to write and create female characters that aren't in love with the Traveler. And they set expectations so high with Arlecchino, and they have fallen down to like the fucking below Earth, and now we're in China. We were in Fontaine, by the way. So kind of like the issue is, that's truly just the issue. I think Arlecchino placed expectations so fucking high. Then they ruined her character. Then they ruined every other character, every other fucking Harbinger. And now we're kind of at the point where the story of this game literally seems like Aether and his 89 girlfriends.
Sandrone, who initially came across as this detached, calculating inventor, the person that made all the Catherines in Genshin Impact.
And it's not even close to what it was in 4. Like, literally, you could tell this game took a big dip in quality the second Wuthering Waves came out. The second Wuwa came out, you were in like Fontaine, like 4. Whatever. Dude, the quality of this game just fell off a fucking cliff. It's crazy.
To end up feeling like yet another tsundere. Then you have Mavrika, as I already pointed out, whose defining trait seems to be that she
BDSM, gimpsuit, latex, porn star. This is a motorcycle riding, gimpsuit, BDSM, latex, porn star. Wait, no, this is a great shot to describe that.
is simply perfect. Or Citlali, whose personality gradually
obsessed with the main character and literally cock blocks them across the world. This bitch is from that land, and she's seen literally cock blocking Aether and Fontaine. Bro, this is like going from New Zealand to France to like go attack your ex at a restaurant.
it gets watered down into little more than the jealous girlfriend archetype. I mean, these are criticisms that people have had with Genshin's females writing for a long time. And what makes them stand out even more is that you don't see the same pattern nearly as often with the male cast. I mean, the male characters tend to have far more distinct personalities that vary significantly from one another, rather than
the male characters in this game actually do something. That's the problem. Like the male characters in this game actually have like important roles that like they actually like do stuff in. New Valette, for example, actually does things. Child, for example,
falling into the same
actually does things.
Full of archetypes. And even when they
I'm still surprised they haven't made this form playable yet for him. They're so retarded. This dude would single-handedly, if you released this version of Child, he would make billions. How is he not out yet?
Similar archetypes, the game still makes sure to put in that one thing in their character that makes them different and memorable. Like take Low
Bro,
and
bro, he's like fucking, bro, he looks like, bro, he's like Metal Gear Rising, bro. He's like Raiden.
Makes them different.
Sorry, I forgot how much he aura farmed Fontaine. Like, this is why I still say Fontaine was like the best in Genshin, because like they were bringing back characters like this and they were actually doing stuff.
Memorable. Like take Lohan and Tartaglia for example. Both of them fall into the battle seeker archetype. They both love the thrill of combat. They both
you should have just made Child the fucking Archon of War, bro.
possess that mentality of standing before an overwhelming opponent and wanting to overcome them. But despite those similarities, absolutely no one who plays this game would say that these two characters are the same, because there's an important distinction. Tartaglia's love for battle is goal-oriented. This is a character that seeks out powerful opponents because he wants to prove to himself more than anyone else that he can stand toe-to-toe with the very best. And Lohan, on the other hand, is portrayed as someone who simply revels in battle itself. There's a far more reckless, almost sadistic enjoyment in the act of fighting. There is that easily noticeable difference between these two characters. I mean, even though they share the same foundation, you can very easily have one as your favorite over the other. And the same applies to so many other characters in Genshin Impact. I mean, take Zhongli, Neuvillette, and Capitano.
Fuck, I forgot about Ryodsley. That guy runs the prison. This guy runs Fontaine. That guy's dead, and this guy doesn't do anything. Or he's like supposed to do something, but he never does anything. Because, dude, John Lee seems like the laziest motherfucker ever. But he's like supposed to do something later.
For instance, all three are protectors, all three are guardians who are willing to go above and beyond for the nations they choose to defend. But once again, the similarities only exist in the surface. Zhongli is a passive protector. He believes in stepping back, allowing.
So remember what I said? He doesn't do anything. Guys, I'm not LARPing. Like, his character design is that he doesn't do anything. Like, it's that he did so much in the past, he doesn't need to do anything because he did so much work.
The younger generation to take the lead while positioning himself as the final line of defense should everything else fail. Neuvillette is the complete opposite, an active protector, the one standing at the front, personally involving himself in affairs of Fontaine and carrying the weight of the people on his shoulders. And then there is Capitano, who is simply nuanced. I mean, this is a character willing to sacrifice his own life for the nation he swore to protect. But at the very same time, he is also a hypocrite. I mean, for all the honor, integrity, the righteousness that he is believed to have in doing that, he still willingly serves the Fatui, an organization responsible for bringing suffering to countless other nations. He's a man who desperately wants to protect his own homeland from evil, yet
they already wiped. They're fucking the Fatui in the ass though, because like apparently every person on the Fatui is a good guy except for Dottore. Apparently everyone on the Fatui is a good guy except for like 2 people, but the organization is so evil. Like how are these 2 people making the organization so evil, bro?
Seems perfectly willing to tolerate an even greater evil being inflicted on everyone else's.
Yeah, now they have like a weekly night like girls club. I think it was like Arlecchino, Columbina, and Sandroni are seen like having a pillow fight and running around in nightgowns.
And that is what makes him interesting. Again, all 3 characters share the same core idea. They're protectors, but they have enough differences in their philosophies, in their methods, in their moral contradictions that you can appreciate each of them individually for the stories they tell. See,
Aether and his 89 girlfriends versus actually somewhat well-written male units.
when all is said and done,
seems valid to me.
Candy Bug made a video expressing her opinions about a video game. Opinions that, in my view, are at absolute worst nuanced. Now, the audience is the audience. People on the internet are going to send hateful messages as long as you don't fully agree with them. They're going to throw insults around. They're going to make threats over something as trivial as a video game. But what...
And they'll call you racist too. They also accuse you of crimes, right?
Genuinely disappointed me was seeing other content creators jump in and contribute to the dog pile. I mean, to me, that is a different kind of low. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have to agree with someone. You can completely dismantle their arguments if you think they're wrong, but you should still be capable of presenting your opinion without turning another creator into the community's punching bag.
And guys, this is the thing. There's a reason why I choose just not to react to smaller creators unless they're obviously like unless they're insulting me. Once you start attacking me personally in your videos, then obviously, right, the gloves are off, but usually people are so small it's not even worth it, right? But if it's gonna be like a high view video that's in the middle of like getting, I don't know, like that's just wanting to be seen, I'm not personally making it my mission to fucking destroy somebody. on the first look. Absolutely not. That's even why when Analytical Vibes and I initially got in some drama, it started because I mentioned that his video was a little bit off. For like, all I said was, yeah, unfortunately, his arguments in this video, they're not really the best because he didn't read the changelogs. Bro made a 20-minute hit piece about me in response because I talked about it for 30 seconds in a prior video. When people do that, oh boy, yes, you are in store for what you're asking for. But I don't go out here actively looking to try to end careers like Brand Online.
And again, I'm not talking about every single creator. I'm sure there are some out there that did just that. But when you become part of the reason someone says they never want to touch Genshin Impact again,
because she said that. She says the community is so toxic and so bad that she never wants to touch the game again. And you want to know what Brand Online said in response to that? And this is just truly how you know there's something wrong with this game.
After all that's happened, I honestly feel like I can't even look at this game the same way anymore. This fandom is so incredibly toxic, and I guess I was stupid to think that they wouldn't.
He's like, whoa, Genshin got called toxic even though we know she got death threats? Let me go defend the Genshin community. I need to find some way to defend the Genshin community even though we know we're sending death threats to her. Like, that's the monologue going through this guy's head. He's trying to find some way to defend Genshin and defend his channel, defend his community, knowing that she got sent death threats.
Jump down my throat at every...
Okay, listen, I'm really trying to give the benefit of the doubt here. You cannot act like you are a 100% victim here. Yes, there's going to be some bad eggs that say some horrific shit, but you are part of that toxic fandom with the way that you are talking and what you expect from everybody.
Bro, Brad is the type of guy where, imagine you did this. You tried petting a cat that you saw on the sidewalk, and then it lacerated your arm, and you ended up getting, like, MRSA, and your arm had to be amputated. Terrible, right? Bran would go to your hospital bed and then say, I know it sucks that you lost your arm, but, like, you shouldn't have pet that cat. You were kind of asking for it. So, like, you shouldn't have tried to pet that cat. You kind of deserve losing your arm over this. That's how this comes off as. Bro, she's getting sent death threats for critiquing the game, and you're like, oh, well, you kind of deserve it. No, you don't, retard. Nobody deserves that for critiquing Genshin Impact.
Body here.
And think about this. Do you think Brad is adding more fuel to the fire? Let's read his comments. Do you think these users are probably going to go harass her? She did that to herself. Okay, bye. Just like clockwork, the fandom is toxic, but I'm not. 07. She should have stopped 2 minutes ago. Acting like a victim here. Oh, bro. Oh, my God. Own up. The whole Genshin fandom unite to hate this YouTube, by the way. OMG, the pity farming is crazy to me. How is this guy not just rallying his community to go attack her with a reaction like this? Read the comments. Bro, they are ready to go again. Bro, they're ready to go again. He's just driving them right back to her channel to farm even more hate. He loves this.
I'm sorry, that is just the way it is. Just like I used to be a part of the toxic side of the fandom, openly admitting, as I have many times.
Hey, keep reading the comments, bro. I'm a victim. Ah, now he's victim blaming, bro. He's just saying she's making a big deal out of things when she got sent death threats by his community.
Listen from there. Hopefully, this person does the same thing.
Yeah, she is also toxic.
Because this is not the time to be playing victim after.
You reap what you sow. You deserve it. I'm so done. His chat is so disgusting, bro. You should just read the chat from his live streams. Just read the chats during his live streams, and you will see this guy has the most disgusting community in the space.
Someone becomes so disgusted with the community that they don't even want to engage with the game anymore, all because they make one video that, if you ask me, range from being right to incredibly nuanced. I think that says far more about the state of the community than it does about the creator herself. But that is just my opinion. What do you think? Where do you stand?
Awesome video by my Deering perspective. Yeah, I'm glad that this thing I'm glad that this thing is popping off. Glad that this thing is getting a bunch of views, because right now, bro is absolutely spitting when it comes to this topic. So many good points in that video being hand-waved away by some of the most irresponsible creators in the space, drumming her entire video down to just fucking Genshin hate, when it's clear from the arguments you saw portrayed over here, it's a multi-layered issue. Yes, Hoyo not doing these things can be called racist, but then it can also be called racist as well for doing them. And that should have just simply been the line of conversation, right? For Brand and creators like that to go with, instead of, oh, racism is the reason why. What a fuckhead sort of response, right? And as you can see over here, when you actually take the time to approach this critique in a well-mannered, not retarded way, I still disagree with Nigerian perspective about a couple of things, especially with the fetishization of the recent units. But maybe he just doesn't know about things like that, right? And so the end result is, guys, this is a great video by her that got ruined by the most toxic community in the space. And I think this video itself portrays exactly how that occurred very eloquently. So great job over here. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.